Harmonic pattern confirmation with the harmonic strength index. Harmonic strength index is a proprietary harmonic indicator. It is adapted from the relative strength index with some different price parameters and a bunch of adjustment that includes harmonic ratios in the formula. We look at overbought levels that are above the 88.6 area and then look at oversold that are below 11.3. Now this is similar to the relative strength index. We look for the indicator to move from one extreme to the next, but HSI is an early signal, but we look for that reaction within 5 bars after it has been triggered. Typically look at harmonic strength index levels. This is an example of looking at the extreme indicator move. Looking at this from one extreme to the next here is oversold. And most importantly, we look at the indicator when it's coming out of the zone, not when it goes in, but when it comes out. So this is a bullish oversold reading as it pivots and breaks out of the zone. That's the point we want to look for pattern completions and other confirmation strategies that complement the area. On the top side here, above the 88.6 level, that is our overbought level here. Oversold down on this here, that's 11.3. This teal line, that's 0. The top line is 100. So we look for 0 to 100 as typical oscillator, but again, focusing when that pops out. So when we get an overbought reading above 88.6, we start to pay attention. It can go above the 100, but our main focus is when it comes out of the 88.6 level, rolls over and starts to break down again. Now, when we're looking at HSI relative to a potential reversal zone, remember, we're trying to integrate this with the terminal price bar. And the terminal price bar, that is the exact completion point of any pattern. And we're looking for bullish price action to unfold immediately after that terminal price bar has materialized. We focus on the critical pattern measurements in that potential reversal zone, the ABCD, the XA calculations. But we then bring in confirmation factors like harmonic strength index to simultaneously analyze the reversal progress. The price action should exhibit a change in that character closing above the PRZ shortly after forming the terminal bar. And then with the HSI confirmation, we have an even more precise area to optimize that range. So when we're looking at harmonic pattern confirmation with HSI, again, remember, HSI is going to trigger early. It's going to give us that early signal before the reversal really unfolds. The key is to look at the HSI reading in the zone. If it's still expanding as the pattern's completing, we're going to wait for that trigger. We're going to wait for HSI to come out of the extreme area. But HSI triggers the execution and optimizes that price level within the pattern's PRZ range. The final step with HSI is we look for a check back. This is within 1 to 5 price bars after the completion, after the trigger. It doesn't occur every time, but we're looking for that specific confirmation at that level. But once that check back occurs, the immediate reversal continuation must unfold after HSI signals triggered. Now we'll look at some examples here in a second, but the entire expected reaction should unfold within 30 bars after that signal is triggered. Now this is your typical situation, an illustration of how a pattern would complete. We see the terminal bar come in and form the actual completion point of the pattern. And then we're going to see a couple of price bars thereafter. Typically what we see is pattern completion, then we get an HSI trigger, and a final retest of that whole area. So if we're looking at this bullish example, we'll look for the pattern to complete, stabilize in that zone, and then give us some kind of HSI trigger immediately thereafter. Let's look at this example in gold. It's an alternate bullish bat with HSI confirmation. Here's the bat. Really nice alternate bat. Look at the 382. That defines the bat structure. And we know that the alternate bat usually has a deeper retest. So we typically looking at the minimum 886, but we know that typically we can also see this go a little bit lower. And so if we're looking for the terminal bar, that's the starting point. Here's a really nice chart of the price action in the PRZ. This sets it up where we've got absolute pattern completion, but the full reversal does not begin until about 5-7 bars later. Look at where HSI comes in. HSI comes in about 9 bars after the official completion point. This is how we optimize, and we look between the low end of the zone and the stop loss. We're looking for that HSI trigger in that level. Now here's that 60-minute chart of not only the alternate bat, but with the full HSI indicator. And look where that comes out. Okay, again, several bars after the fact, but that shows us we're looking at the 886 because it's an alternate bat. That's our minimum level. That's around 1309. But gold trades as low as 1306 down here. Comes close to the stop loss, but look, if we're waiting for our trigger, there's the pattern completion. Now show me an HSI signal. That gives us a greater degree of confidence for a confirmation of a minimum reaction, minimum initial type 1 reaction. So we're looking at that. Now, gold, as this pattern's completing, the HSI is still expanding. So that was one of the keys of why we knew to wait. Now we look for the extreme reversal at the pattern PRZ, but we also are looking for that check back. Finally, we want to see the immediate continuation after HSI signal has been triggered, because all of that is being assessed in this, what I call the PEZ, the permissible execution zone. Most people know of the potential reversal zone. That's the pattern zone. But we can look at the amount of real-world trading beyond those ideal measures and then assess where HSI unfolds in that zone or just beyond that zone. Here's what we've got here from our example of the alternate bullish bat. Down here is clear 886 is the defining harmonic support. Our stop loss is a bit below the X point in the bat pattern. But look where the HSI comes in. And that tells us that the execution should be under the measured levels. Now, if we wait for HSI, in most cases, we'll see some kind of signal, especially if you get a clear extreme reading like this. We'll get that with the pattern defining the support. We see that there was a little bit, a few extra bucks lower below that support before the stabilization took place. But here is the price action in the PRZ, and take a look at what happens at the pattern completion point. A fairly steep decline on the 60-minute basis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 hours down, straight down in a row, from 1316 all the way down to 1307 area. Straight through our ideal potential reversal zone. Beautiful pattern, great numbers, but look where the first green arrow, first green price bar develops at 1308. That's almost $2 below our terminal bar. Then finally, look, there's HSI coming in about 3 bars later. That's the kind of thing we want to see. Now here is permissible execution zone. That is that area below the PRZ, the 886 level, and the terminal bar, between that and the stop loss. And then finally, look, there's our HSI, pink HSI arrow. And let's look at the check back. This is really important because here is that area, the execution. Even the consideration of the execution of the trade does not begin until after that D point confirms. So we look to the right of that bar, independent of any confirmation. If we're just looking at the pattern, we're going to look 3 to 5 bars. With HSI, this happened 3, 6, 8 bars later. And now here's the little check back. So if HSI is signaling us somewhere down around 1307, 1308, we know we're really close and it's starting to stabilize within that zone. Now here is that PEZ, and looking at the indicator itself, look where the HSI comes out of the zone. It's early. This is deeply oversold. And look, as we're hitting the potential reversal zone, we're looking for the pattern to complete. Look what HSI is doing, continuing to go down. There's no execution in that trade until we see that thing pop out of the zone. I would rather be looking at my executions here than on the initial test. That's the proper expectation. It's going to take a little bit of time. We look just beyond that range, and here is HSI. Now here's the check back. Look, our terminal bar back in that example of gold was a few bars before. Then we got the HSI. Then here is the check back. HSI triggers, comes out of the zone, and this will signal on the close of that bar. But a lot of times that might make you jump. What we're looking for is this final check back of that extreme low. Really important. In the bullish instance, in this bullish example, the HSI trigger occurs when we retest that trigger bar low. It might go a little bit below it, but that's the final retest and confirmation in the zone. And it looks like this. Here's terminal bar. Again, straight on through the zone. Finally, our first green candlestick right there, about 4 or 5 hours after we tested and completed the pattern. Then we triggered the HSI. This is our ideal confirmation because look, 2 bars later, 2 hours later, we get the check back right there at 1307.50. Now this is certainly a great example, but these do happen, and we're looking for that window, very tight window within a few bars, especially with such a clear pattern like this was in gold. Here's that alternate bullish bat. Beautiful structure, ideal PRZ, and now finally HSI coming into the zone. Now, the whole thing can be coordinated by simply looking at what happens as the terminal bar is generated. That's that vertical line, dotted line. That's the official pattern completion point. We do not enter the trade here, though. We start looking to the right of that line. And if we look at HSI, well, that's deeply oversold, starting to reverse, but this is early, and we have to wait until that comes out of that area. Really critical. That final piece, that final check back, that's the trigger for most trades. We talk a lot about this in the live harmonic trading sessions, and this simple incorporation of the HSI arrow, really effective. So for more information, get with the Harmonic Pattern Collection. Do access a free trial, please, at the Harmonic Pattern Collection website. Simply log in, follow directions. It's a free trial, no credit card required, and check out all of this information